What's up, beautiful people, to another episode of Conversations with Christians. Man, hello, it's me, Ricky Jones here. We also have
O'Neal Delver in the building.
We are back again for another episode where we get to talk about various things that are going on in the world, in our lives, but more than anything, giving it to you from a Christian male's perspective. So with that being said, if there's anything that you have on your mind, you've been pondering, you've been thinking about, you've been wondering, what do men think about this? More specifically, what do Christian men think about this topic? Let us know in the comment section below, and we will be sure to answer that question for you.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, we're here to encourage, to help uplift. Again, we're sharing our stories, our, what we go through. Hopefully, you can take a little bit to help, add to the things that you're going through, as well as to build you up, of course. To once again help you, encourage you in your walk.
Boom, just like that. And so I have a topic that I'm excited to discuss that O'Neal knows nothing about.
I asked him over and over. See, the thing between Ricky and I, which I love, the connection, the dynamic, I'm a planner. I like to plan. I like to know everything that's about to happen before it happens, so I can think ahead. Ricky, on the other hand, he likes to...
I like spontaneous conversations.
Yeah, he does like spontaneous conversations.
In life. But I'm very planned like him, but I do leave room for like spontaneity.
Yeah.
And here's the
I don't like it. I don't like surprises. But we're about to find out what's about to happen.
Find out.
Here we go.
So, if you were to think back, right?
Okay.
With your men's shirt, right? You got your Validated Men's Group, which is our men's group at our church. Shout out to VMG.
Yes.
Now, at the conference, Pastor Dollar talked about a question that came in that he was like, we're not going to spend this whole conference talking about stuff like this. However, I'm going to just address it up front. And we're going to go from there.
I think I know. Yeah, it's coming back. I think I know where he's coming.
I'm going to give y'all the question that was asked. So, long story short, there were an opportunity for men to ask questions with the panel and Pastor Dollar to be able to answer the question. And so the question that came in was, how do I get my wife to perform oral pleasures to me more? That was the question. And Pastor Dollar so gracefully talked about it, hit it, had fun with it, and we went on, right? But he did not shy away from answering the question. I think he did a great job.
Oh my goodness! So that was okay. Go ahead.
He did a great job.
He did do an awesome job.
And he didn't cut corners.
He didn't. Correct.
And he did and said what was necessary.
Correct.
So I'm laying that foundation to say, so shall we. So here's the conversation for today.
All right, hit me, Ricky.
We're both married men. How long you been married?
I've been married to 2008. What was that?
Since 2008?
Since 2008 we got married.
That's not that long. All right, so we're
like
at 14
years.
14 years.
14 years strong.
I've been married since 2014, so I'm 8. Right, so you're 14, I'm
14
8.
years in this thing.
Boom, right? And so the conversation today is, what is a healthy amount of relations that a husband and wife should have?
A healthy amount. Are we focusing during the week, the day, the month, or what is the breakdown?
We're
Ricky?
Focusing on a 7-day basis, right?
Okay, so 7 days.
So we're talking expectations.
Okay,
let's talk expectations from a male perspective.
Okay.
Expectations.
I've got questions now.
Okay, so we're gonna talk first about expectations.
Okay.
About it being healthy.
Okay.
About what makes it great.
Okay.
And about. We'll see what goes from there.
And we'll see what goes from there. Because I was going to say, when you're asking, are we talking about a long duration, or are we talking about boom, boom, are we good?
We're talking about on a 7-day period.
Okay, so
what's
healthy.
A healthy and or.
Okay.
And when I say healthy is subjective, right? You have a healthy amount of times in mind. I have a healthy amount of times in mind. You have an idea of how it should start, how it should be.
Yes.
I have a way of how it should start, how it should be. And we're going to talk it through, right?
Yeah.
Because this subject, shouts out to my wife. She broke the barrier for our family in talking about sex, right? And so now we're
here. You act like it was a dirty word. It was kind of hard for you to get it out.
I said it that way because I don't want to get censored. I want to make sure this video goes on YouTube. So I may use the word course.
It's a course.
Right. Not because I shy away from it. I used to work quite a bit. All
right, so to answer
yes.
your question, I would say, every other day, in my opinion, would be, because of course, you got to balance life and you got to balance everything that's happening. You got to know your schedule.
Yes.
One of the interesting things too, I definitely, as you were talking, I was thinking how different men and women are, because you said, get things started and so on.
Yep.
Because I might think, or my wife, if she were here to kind of, add to the conversation, the way that I would like to get things started and the way that she likes to get things started are completely different, right?
Okay.
Where, she'll use the, kind of warm the oven and then put in preheat, kind of different things throughout the day. But the interesting thing is, which we'll talk a bit more about as we break this down, but I'm a little bit more, and Jessica would probably say different, I would say, but I'm a little bit more like the romantic. Yeah, my wife. Where, I like to say, little text messages, little sweet things throughout the day or whatever, but then...
Oh, you like the messages you send me?
You like the messages? But I will admit, being full disclosure, last couple of years probably fell off a little bit where I need to get a little bit more into, that. Because again, it's a healthy balance, right? Where I've taken on more work-wise. So sometimes I'll kind of not preheat the oven.
Gotcha.
I should.
Just throw the cake in the oven.
I just throw the cake in the oven. Or, put it on 350 in 30 minutes and expect, boom, I'm going to have me a cake at the end.
Hello.
But then you open that thing like it's not ready yet.
Hasn't even risen.
Hasn't risen to the occasion. So with that said, I would say it's good to have a healthy balance. And,
now, when you say balance, you're talking about work life.
Work life, family life, intimate life.
Boom.
All of the above, right? But some areas maybe, need to strengthen and kind of can't have all of one and not the other or whatever it might be, right? So I would say for me, every other day, and then also maybe not something that's super duper long. Like you got to do a whole performance, a 30 minutes to an hour performance. It's nice. It's good to have those things. But, every other night, kind of have things to do or whatever.
Respect.
But but go ahead though.
That's the healthy side of things. Okay.
Yeah.
Now for me, I would say there is. First of all, I want to say I don't want to put a amount of days to it. I think when you get married, right?
Whenever, wherever. Go ahead, continue.
Well, no, right. So here's the thing, right? So there's life. So I've lived life before marriage. I lived life after marriage.
Okay.
I didn't get married a virgin. I had sex before.
Okay.
And so, but I'm getting married, right?
Okay.
So walk with me during this journey.
So
before getting married, I was just whenever I was wanting anything, I would go get it. Right.
Okay.
I knew who I could reach out to get it.
Okay.
So it wasn't a consideration of what my schoolwork was or what my day was like. It was just when I had a time and availability, I was going after it.
Okay.
You get married. So then you start considering the spouse.
You got it.
Right? There's consideration of the spouse. There's the kids sometimes involved. There's a work involved. I want to just, make sure I'm thinking ahead for my family and making sure you're providing. So there's more things that you're considering mentally, right? So I say that to say now it's it's whenever the opportunity presents itself, right? And
of course, yeah.
So it's whenever the opportunity presents itself. But then I will say I am one that doesn't too much care for always initiating. Which that's a whole topic, right?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because the thought may be that the man should always initiate.
And that's okay.
You talked about you opening the oven, but
it should.
It's the
and you're right.
Big enough
and you're right. And that's the thing. Yeah. I'm of the same belief as you, where I don't think that I should be the one to initiate all the time.
Okay.
Show me that you want me.
There's that.
Show me that you want me.
And then not always do you want to hear no. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you may hit that tap tap pop pop. And you might get a little, not today, or maybe in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Let me get my cake out. But I said it to say, you know what I'm saying, but it's a part of it. And I think when you get married, the full scope of like life and dynamics of two people are always considered. Because I mean, some people get into marriage with the expectation that it's going to be every day.
That is true. And set the right expectations too. You know, ladies or gentlemen or whomever you might be, don't say something is going to happen and you set the expectation up here.
That's good.
And then it doesn't happen.
That's good.
Right?
That's
like you're
good.
saying, you know, when you get married, sometimes, unfortunately, the notion or the idea is, man, it's going to be every day, all day, every time I want it, or whatever. And the other person might be like, ooh, baby, this is going to be yours every day, all day when you want it. Whenever you want it, baby, you're going to have it, you know, this and that. And then you get married, and then it's like, wait a minute. What you said and what you are doing do not line up. It's completely opposite.
There's a gap. Hello.
There's a big gap, you know? But continue.
No, I mean, and that's a thing, but I think at the end of the day, even like what Pastor Dahl was talking about with, you know, it was beautifully said. One of the things was, if you, husbands, we were all men, if you love your wife like Christ loved the church, she'll always be ready to give.
Yes.
Right? And so like, I pondered on that. Cause I'm like, man, that's like a legit answer. You know what I'm saying? You're a legit man of God and all of that. And then, you know, I was sifting through what that looks like. Yeah. So then obviously I hear a word and I apply a word. So I started serving my wife like I believe Christ was serving the church.
Yeah.
And there was an immediate payout.
There was or was not?
Was not.
Okay.
But
Patience. But go ahead though.
Boom. But there's patience and there's endurance and there's another day. Yeah. And I think that's the other side about marriage that I enjoy, that I don't have to like rush to get it. Because even when like before marriage, I was rushing to get it because it's like, I don't know if this person's going to be here tomorrow. Right. But when you're married, it's like, no, you're locked in with the individual. So sometimes you know how the saying is, delay is not denial.
Okay. Delay is not denial.
Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about? What's the subject? Yeah. Because delay, when I'm ready, feels like denial. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you might as well take up a little, pop the air out and throw it away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, there is that, you said balance, and you know, I've been pondering over that word balance. So you struck a nerve when you said balance.
Really?
Soft. Because it's like, man, like,
it's like the soft situation you said.
Sort of, kind of, but you know,
bro, balance. What's wrong with the word balance?
I feel like nothing good has balance.
Nothing good has balance. Explain. What is? What
I feel like so when you say balance, which we're very off, but here's my
I think
rank.
of a scale. Think of a scale, bro.
Okay.
If there's a scale, right? If there's too much on the scale, there is, you know,
on the scale there's life, which consists of work, family life,
there's work,
husband life,
everything,
personal life.
If one is too heavy on one end, the scale is not balanced. It's not even. So you have to find the right level of whatever it is you need to do for this part, for whatever it is, and not neglect one, to where you keep it still level at where it should be versus it being lopsided.
I think it's impossible.
It's impossible to balance everything?
I think it's impossible to balance everything.
It can be tricky. To be effective
in it all and balance it all, that's a conundrum. It's impossible. Because I believe that if you lock in on a thing, you will not be able to supply the attention and or energy to another thing. So if you lock into career, something's going to suffer.
That is true, but if you allocate time towards that thing, and everyone knows, right? For example, career, you working from 9 to 5 or whatever, or maybe throughout the day, if you're working from home, you make time during lunchtime, might be a little time for a little...
Oh, okay.
A little good time.
Okay.
You know?
I hear what you're saying.
But you have to know, like, you can't, you know, effectively, even though people are like, oh, I'm multitasking. You're right. When you're multitasking, you're kind of not paying attention. Like, you know, certain things ends up lacking, being neglected. But if I dedicate 30 minutes to this, 30 minutes to this, 30 minutes to this, and so on and so forth, yes, while I'm focusing heavily 30 minutes on this one thing, the other areas aren't necessarily being focused on. But if you look at a 24-hour or however 7-day a week frame, I've effectively dedicated certain time towards certain things to where now it didn't end up being lopsided. Everything ended up being balanced, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But there's no such thing as balance for you.
There's no such thing as having equal balance of everything.
Not at all time.
Here's the key part, sir, that I think that you're neglecting.
Okay.
You can't have balance across the board and be effective in those things across the board. Yes, I believe that you can career-wise, right?
Yeah.
You can soar career-wise. However, either your health, your family life, your personal life, or some other area in life will suffer because of your career, which is not a bad thing, to your point, if it's discussed, right? We're talking about in a marriage scenario. If it's discussed going in that, okay, this time and season in our life, which is why we are so thankful that life is on time and season, right? Thank God we're not in eternity, because you could be eternally on your career path of whatever. But nonetheless, in it all, it's like, okay, in this season, I'm focusing on this job. This is my goal. And boom, shakalaka, we all know. With that being said, it's also known that some area of the balancing scale is going to tip. So you can't say that, oh, I'm locking in on my career, my family is getting less of me, and saying that it's balanced. No, it's not. But that may be a conversation for another day, right?
Yeah.
Because we're talking about intercourse.
Yeah.
And we tipped over there, but and I went there because, you know, you talked about balance and how there is a desire to balance in all, and even knowing that, right? There's also the idea that Crystal and I, we're looking forward. We're looking, God's sharing things for us to do in times ahead and things like that, which obviously that's taxing in a way, because we're like planning, we're thinking, we're developing, which on the intercourse side is like, okay, you know, sometimes it happens, sometimes it don't.
Yeah.
But we know.
Yeah, no, I agree. And even going back to the balance and kind of bringing it to, you know, intercourse type, you know, discussion or whatever, where going back to the whole balance, in my opinion, I mean, we each have to do our part, right? It can't be too much of on one side where, you know, the female or the guy is always the one saying the sweet nothings, always the one, you know, thinking of the other person, always the one willing to give versus receive, always the one having to do the majority of the work when it comes to performance or whatever. Like, there has to be a balance where, you know,
there's a desire.
There's a desire, but then, you know, even like, you know, performance, whatever. Like, all right, maybe, you know, this time, without getting too graphic.
Maybe this time you please.
Yeah, you please. Maybe on top. The other way.
Boom, boom.
Switch.
Hello.
You know, and so on and so forth.
Right.
I'm being mindful of the way that I say certain things because of the audience.
Correct.
Because you have to be mature to be able to take in or listen to kind of dissect, break down a subject like this.
Take in. I don't know if you want to use that. Oh my goodness! But no, you're right.
Oh my goodness!
You're right. But I mean, it's a set. It's for an audience, right? It's for people, because there are people that want to get married, look to get married.
That is true.
And are trying to figure out what are men thinking about, right? But then there's also a group of people that are married, so it's like, oh man, this is beneficial.
No, I agree 100%. You know, and then going back to two things we had talked a little bit about before, like expectations and then also patience, right? We live in a microwave society, right? Where we want things now. We don't want to wait, you know, and so on and so forth. And I like the way that you broke it down a moment ago. Where did you say delay is not denial? What did you say?
Right.
That's the way you said it, yeah. So, I mean, I'll admit for myself too, right? And I'd like to think that I'm a patient person, but I've learned, you know, I know, you know, we're talking about a particular subject right now, but just in general, I've learned that I can be impatient, right? Depending on the thing. I can be very impatient. And even as an adult, like, we sometimes act like children, like babies or whatever, right? You know, it's like, well, I want what I want now. You know, I want tomorrow, you know. Tomorrow's not going to happen. Something else is going to come up.
Hello. I see.
But you see the bottom lip poking out. So yeah, but it's good to be patient and know, just like you said, right? Where before, when we were single, and yeah, you know, I had relations and all that before I got married as well. But we wanted it now. we weren't thinking about like tomorrow. We were either, you know, I don't know if I wasn't necessarily thinking about that person not being there tomorrow, but I was thinking like, you know, I might be ready to move on to the next come tomorrow, or potentially, not that I didn't brag to my friends and stuff like that about different things that I did. Like I didn't go, you know, but you know, some people are like, they'll be like, oh, you know who I got and this and that. They want to run and tell or whatever. But but it's different, right? When it's a marriage or relationship type thing, like, you know, you're long term with your spouse. So it's good. It's a different level, right? It's not just the hit it and quit it, or, you know, love them and leave them or whatever, you know, mindset. It's the, okay, we are, you know, spending time with each other, and, you know, maybe you have a headache or you're busy or you're tired or whatever it might be, you know, tomorrow will be okay. So I don't have to like want it now. And so on and so forth. And be mad if I don't get it. And then even going back to like, you know, the other part I was talking about, you know, setting expectations, you know, to be truthful in with each other. And something else I'm gonna say to you in a little bit later about, you know, being open with your spouse, which I'll say in a moment, but being truthful in setting the expectations, you know, right. Personal story for me, I'll go ahead and, you know, we're talking about us. I remember my wife, and she might, you know, not like that I'm kind of sharing certain things, but I remember when we were getting married, the day of, during our wedding reception, we had an amazing wedding at Revealing Truth Ministries, and we had, our wedding party was actually huge. Like, I think I had 9 guys, and she had like 9 females, so it was like, impressive. It was huge. And then we had our reception. It was very nice. It was on, they have different dinner cruises here in Tampa, where you can basically, for the evening, you get on, you could go out to the bay and whatever else. So we had our reception in one of those dinner cruise type situations. It was kind of expensive. It was nice. It was like, I think it was like, we paid like $15,000. But that's a whole nother thing, besides the point. On the boat, I'm going to omit some stuff, you know, but on the boat. I think I already know. On the boat, I was told, hey, do you like this? I already did. On the boat, because we had a private room as the husband and wife, you know, and so on and so forth, before going out to like, you know, as part of the reception party with everyone, whatever. So we had our own space. So it was used. Again, Jessica, if you're watching this, just fast forward this part. So on the boat, I was told, oh, you like this? And of course, I'm like, yes, I like this. I don't like, I love this. I was then told, okay, it's yours all day, every day, whenever you want it. Oh, so then I'm like, bet. This is what I wanted to hear. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. And then, you know, fast forward some time, some months, some weeks or whatever down the line. And I'm like, wait a minute. What I was told and what I am experiencing are 2 different things. But again, at the same time, in addition to setting the expectations, but being mindful, where going back to when you were single, you were selfish. I was selfish. Correct. We were all selfish. That's a key word. But then from there, you got to think. Now, you know, if it's just the 2 of you, you're thinking for 2, right? If there are children involved, you're thinking for like 2, 3, or 4 people or whatever, right? And then you have to know all day, every day. And R&B songs, they be lying to you, you know? All day, every day, and all the other stuff. That's not possible. Nobody got time for that. No one has time for that. And if you, even if you're on vacation, you want to go and see stuff. I want to go see stuff. Have you ever laid in the bed 24 hours a day, like all day, every day, and do absolutely nothing? No one does that. No. Only once when I had the flu. And so that was nothing happening during the flu. Nothing happened during the flu. But I think what you are saying, I think that's like the, I won't say culminating thought, but I love how even in our conversations we can even get to kind of like an idea, right? And I say it that way because it may not be the truth for everybody. That's true. But it's the truth in what we said. And I love the idea. Your face is hilarious. But
We're having a flashback to the cruise.
I did, bro.
No,
you read my mind.
I
was literally thinking about it.
He's looking at like every day.
Every day.
Anyway, the thought is that, man, like, yes, right? You get you before you get married, you have a thought of what marriage is going to be like as it involves intercourse, right? You think, man, like if I'm getting it like this before, surely when I get married, all of us about to be
on and popping.
Because you know what I'm saying, the list goes on. But life hits, right?
Yeah.
And there's the reality that yes, it's two, but then there's the also added emphasis of what life entails. And sometimes life can be draining, sometimes life can be taxing, sometimes people, you know, may not be in it at the time, right? But we as men shouldn't look at it as a dagger to who we are. It shouldn't be a check to our ego or anything like that. Like, no, there's some times where it just, I won't, you know, maybe in 8 years of marriage, just maybe in 2 days where I'm like, I just don't feel it.
Yeah.
Which was like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Check my pulse. But I said it to say, some men may have that happen to them more often than not. But ultimately, the idea is that, you know, there is no number. And I think that's the thing. Because I also didn't want to have like a number because I don't want it to be like a calendar event.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you to do it because we should do it or because I want you to do it. I want us to do it because we want to do it.
Yeah.
So to say, you know, 3 times a week, oh man, you gotta make sure you check that third day off.
I was like, have you ever scheduled a time?
Yeah.
Like, you penciled, you like, okay, on Wednesday at 8:00, this is when we're doing it.
I mean, maybe not to the time, but like schedule it to say, okay, Tuesday evening when the kids go to bed. Yes. Boom shakalaka.
You've done that?
Yeah. Sometimes
maybe it works for some.
It's a thing,
right?
I've
never done that. But
we've had busy weeks. Like, we can be busy, and sometimes you can't be so busy with the balancing things. Well, there's no such thing as balance. But you can't be so busy doing your other things that you neglect the thing that brought you all together. Because, I mean, like I said, me and Crystal, we have a lot that we do. And sometimes we can find ourselves working on those things that we have to slow down and say, no, we also have to work on us that empowers all the things that we do as a unit. So there are sometimes where we have to say, no, like we're not going to work past 9 o'clock. Well, so like that's like my time. Really, like
9 o'clock.
Like if
I need to get better balance. I don't stop at 9.
Oh yeah, I'm desiring to be asleep by 9:30.
9:30.
Absolutely, because I wake up at 3:45.
Okay, then I guess that makes sense. I'm about to say, dang, 9:30. How old are you? 65? What are you, old man?
I don't know. It's my schedule.
Oh, okay.
But it's not a balance, right? It's not balanced because sometimes Crystal's still up, and oftentimes she wants to keep me up past 9:30. You know. But if the occasion's right, I'm up. But pun intended. But with in it all, there's that thought, right? And I think more than anything, we know it's not a certain amount of times, but it's what works. It's always what works for you. But I think it's more than anything in consideration of the parties.
Yep, I agree.
So you're every other day still.
I am still every other day, and well, no. I am, whenever we try to plan things, it does not happen the way that we plan. So it's more of whenever, you know, it kind of happens, right? But for the most part, also Jessica and I, our schedules aren't the same. I'm more of a night person and she's more of a day person. So I'll be up like 2, 3 in the morning or whatever and kind of like, all right, this is when it's happening. And she's looking like, nah, I'm done. I'm going to sleep. It's 11 and I'm done. Like 11. Absolutely. The night is young. What are you talking about? You know, but no, it's good to know each other's schedule and patterns and so on and so forth. One of the things.
So then let me ask you with that, because that's a thing. Knowing her schedule, knowing your schedule, do you then say, okay, let me meet you on your side of time?
Yeah, that's a good question. And sometimes it's one, you know, it's a balance, right? It's, you know, there it is again. I know you don't like the word, but sometimes I'll meet her where, you know, she is, and then she'll stay up a little bit later to meet me where I am, right? Because again, it can't be all of one. Then you start to feel like, well, we only do what you want to do when you want to do it, you know? What about me? Like, what about considering me, considering my time, considering my feelings, right? So That is the thing. So it's a little bit of both.
I think that's interesting. I think now
it's a little bit of both.
I'm going to talk about you.
Go ahead.
In that scenario, I think that's a little bit selfish. Largely because
selfish on whose part though?
Your part to want to keep her up in order to please you.
But
because
it should be always on her schedule then, whenever she's available earlier in the day.
I don't like definitive words.
Okay.
Always is a definitive word.
9 times out of 10, it should be her schedule whenever she's
counting. I'm not counting. Let's say it this way: during the week.
Okay, during the week.
So 5 times out of 7, since you want a number. 5 times out of 7, I believe you should be considerate of her because she has to wake up for work. So
I wake up for work too.
Right, I mean, but you choose to stay up at 2, 3 o'clock. She doesn't choose to do that, right?
Well, yeah.
So I'm saying that to say, knowing that she has to wake up, obviously she has like an end time that I would love to be asleep by X, right? And so I'm also talking from experience, okay? From my side.
Okay.
So I'm talking to you, but I'm talking through you to her, right? And so my time is 9:30, right? So if we gonna get something popping, let's do it by
it has to be early.
9 o'clock. You know what I'm saying?
But there's still a lot.
Give me 30.
But there's still a lot happening at 9 o'clock. We still gotta get the kids to bed. We still got to, wind down. We still got to prepare for the next day.
Well, that's y'all's problem, right? That you have to talk through. That's a conversation that you should have with your spouse, right?
I agree.
Hey, I understand you want to go to bed earlier. I'm open with staying up later. However, let's meet in the middle.
Oh, okay.
And it may be that, 10 o'clock is your end time. So by 9:15, 9:30, 9 o'clock, I don't know however much time y'all need.
Yeah.
Then let's go ahead and start. Let's start this oven baking process.
It's 2 minutes.
We get going.
I only need 2 minutes.
Easy bake oven. But whatever it is, I would say to lean towards the person that already has something going on.
Okay,
right? You're fluid.
I see what you're saying. What you're saying is when you said the selfish on my part is the keeping her up late portion.
Correct.
But the finding a time in between.
Correct.
So not super early for her and not super late for me.
Correct.
The in between. Okay. Well, the in between for me is 11:30 and midnight. That's the in between.
That's for you. You have to find out what's for her. Because she also wakes up and she goes to sleep with the idea that I have to wake up.
But she works from home though, so
that's besides the point.
But
that's being selfish. You're thinking of yourself again, which is your old man before you got married, before you were sitting in that cruise ship like every day.
I love it.
Get me more. So, so that's that, right? And I'm even saying that about you, but I'm even, talking about my spouse.
Yeah.
Like we know my time. I want to be asleep by 9:30.
Yeah.
So why are we starting things at 9:25? Yeah. What are we just gonna hug? We're gonna cuddle? Because that's not enough time.
One of the things that I love about people, about all of us, right?
Okay.
We're all the same when we go through similar situations, but in different ways, right? So it's good to have conversations and talk about stuff.
Yep.
Because while we're joking and laughing and talking about, but we're talking about serious things, right? Mm-hmm. In this case, about intercourse and so on. I was gonna say relations. Okay. I think that's a clean word, right? That's good. Yeah. So let it through, please. But it's good to talk about things because, what potentially, I experience and what you experience may not be the same. Even when you asked me the question earlier, what do I think is a healthy balance and so on. Other people might be like, no, healthy balance for me though, man, 3 times a day. You know what I mean? Right. That's healthy for me. Yeah. That's a little unrealistic in my opinion.
I agree.
But in some people, that might be realistic or might be a reality. Mm-hmm. And if that is a reality, man, more power to you. Man,
it's not the same person.
That is a lot.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
And what are you doing?
What
do you do? In life.
Wait, is that a rhetorical question, or you want to really answer?
No, I don't think if you're doing it 3 times a day.
Drop that in the chat.
What is your career?
What do you do in life?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't
know the way you phrase the question. What are you doing?
Yeah, no, I definitely meant career. Okay. I'm not curious to know.
Yeah, don't drop that in the chat. But but anyway, it's interesting how even it's funny because as we do these more and more, certain things that you like or you kind of stick to, where I'm kind of like I don't know, you know, going back to the whole soft, which, you know, when we talk, kind of break it down, like, okay, I can see your perspective, you know, and even me saying, gotta have a balance, you're like, there's no such thing as a balance, you know, but just, you know, just how we're all the same, but yet we're different. And, you know, hopefully, again, the whole goal of our discussions is so that people can take something away and say, you know what? I'm not alone in dealing with whatever the subject might be that we're discussing. Or, hey, O'Neal said this, you know, but at the same time, don't run back to your spouse and say, well, O'Neal said
every other day
and every day and this and that. So, well, come on, you slipping or I'm out or whatever. But anyway, we're kind of joking but being serious. But, you know, but it's good to kind of like, you know, break things down and then, you know, just kind of see things in a different way, or potentially see something or hear something that that lines up with, you know, what you're already kind of saying or believing. So,
I dig it. I dig it. So again, hey, we had the conversation to open things up, talk about it. Obviously, there's so much more that can be talked about.
So much more.
That subject and with that subject of relations.
I got more to say, you know, but we'll hold it for another. We'll hold it for another time.
And the opportunity may come where we're live and we can interact with people and things like that too. So definitely stay tuned, stay locked into the podcast if you haven't already done so thus far. Subscribe where if you're on YouTube, or follow whatever platform that you are listening on. Make sure you lock in because there's more. Obviously, there's more, and we're okay with taking it there.
More crazy topics. Maybe again, trying to balance or try to be mindful.
Your talk. You can
of
think
the things or the way that it was delivered. But but you know, hopefully you received it and it spoke directly to you.
Boom.
So
boom. So with that being said, we love y'all. We appreciate you all, and we will see you on the next episode. Peace.